Good morning, good morning, good morning. We are going to part two, the second part of yours truly, Coffee with Dragon, discussing the my Trinity of theories and of course the Dictionary of Politics with readings from the Dictionary of Politics. It is 10:20 a.m. in the morning in Hawk Island, Montreal. It is 10:20 in the morning in Hawk Island, Montreal. It is 10:20 in the morning in Hawk Island, Montreal, and yours truly gonna say my gratitude. I am grateful, thankful that today yours truly, independent artist, independent activist, independent athlete, triple A plus other dimensions, geopolitical analyst and theorist, independent psychological analyst and theorist, and of course, a poet, a philosopher, an independent psychological analyst and theorist, and independent, of course, analyst of all things of civilization and nature, and of flora and of fauna. A piece of dust, I'm a piece of dust, I'm a piece of dust. Who gets moody, who gets lustful, who gets upset, who admits is not perfect, admits that at some things I am mediocre, admits that at some things I am average, admits that at other things I am so-so. While admitting that I'm so-so at other things and mediocre and average at some things, I'm also great and super and excellent at other things such as geopolitical analysis, such as politics, of course, such as dancing. Dancing, I'm the greatest living millennial rainbow dancing poet, and it's 10:22 a.m. here in the morning. I am calling on all who are making, if you make a million on the stock market, buying, trading, selling stocks today, make, buy, sell, trade commodities, futures, options, puts, futures, options, puts there in Wall Street, Wall Street, Wall Street. Please, please, please give 10% for food security, because 10% of a million is 100,000. So divide that 100,000, give a quarter of it, which is 25,000. 25% of food security, 25,000, which is 25%. A quarter for women's sports leagues, 25,000, which is a quarter, and 25% to LGBTQ youth services, and 25% for Mother Nature to plant a tree. For every tree that we plant, that we cut, we plant a tree. For every tree that we cut, we plant a tree, so that we solutions with some solutions to environmental issues. So if you make a million on the stock market today, buying, selling, trading stocks, futures, options, puts, buy, sell commodities, port bellies, penny stocks, big stocks, $5 stocks, big $156 stocks. If you buy, sell, trade, you still got time. The stock market opened about 56 minutes ago or so, not an hour, almost an hour, because it opens at 9:30 a.m. in the morning EST. So if you buy, sell, trade stocks, commodities, futures, options, forex first, and you do make a million profit today, or if you have made a million profit yesterday on the stock market, or if you will make a million on the stock market profit tomorrow, please, 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 your story asks you for you to give 10% of that 1 million profit. 10% is the equivalent of 100,000, which is divided by 4, 25,000 for food security. Food security first, because everybody got to eat, even Wall Street, even yours truly, Dragon, this rainbow dragon, got to eat, who's an independent philosopher, an artist also. I gotta eat, and I'm grateful, thankful that I got a cup of coffee. So please, if you made a million profit yesterday on the stock market, buying, selling, trading stocks, commodities, futures, options, puts, or if you will make a million today by 4:30 p.m. in the afternoon, buying, selling a trade on the stock market, or if you will make in the future tomorrow, please give a 10% of that 1 million profit, which it is the equivalent of 100,000. 100,000 divided by 4, make it 25,000 for food security, 25,000 for women's sports leagues, and 25,000 for LGBTQ youth services, and 25,000 for Mother Nature. I'm grateful, thankful that I got this cup of coffee this morning in order to do the second part of my continuing Dictionary of Politics. Coffee with Dragon session, Dictionary of Politics, Coffee with Dragon session, Dictionary of Politics, Coffee with Dragon, yours truly session. Yeah, I'm gonna rock and roll rap for my gratitude, thankfulness that it is 19th of October, another call of the heart. I'm calling on an ongoing project, which after this video I'm gonna have some lunch, and I'm gonna do my work and extend my knocking on the doors for opportunity as an independent athlete, independent activist, independent artist, triple A plus other dimensions to that triple A of being an independent artist, independent athlete, the people's athlete, the people's athlete, an activist, geopolitical analyst and theorist, and other dimensions to that as an independent psychological analyst and theorist. Another call of the heart, please, 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 corporations, multinationals, millionaires and billionaires, CEOs, please, 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 do it ASAP. This call of the heart, so that the Halloween candies, Halloween goods, Halloween sweets, Halloween treats are reduced half price by today, hopefully at 3 p.m. Still got about more than 4 hours and a half on the clock until 3 p.m. today, October 19th. Today is October 19th today, as yours truly is making this artistic, philosophical, intellectual, cosmopolitan, and meditative video on all things of civilization and nature, with the specifics, of course, my dream, which is the dancing goddess and the dragon kingdom, the dancing goddess and the dragon kingdom, which is my dream, the dancing goddess and the dragon kingdom, which I'm calling all willing and loving to support. I'm grateful, thankful that my rent is fully paid for October, my electricity bill is fully paid. I'm going to say a gratitude and a thanks and a meditation on, of course, the fact that I'm utilizing clean, zero pollution, zero emission, mother nature friendly energy for me to brew my coffee, for me to do this video, because I've plugged it in earlier this morning, plugged in my smartphone, so the electricity that charged my smartphone for me to do this video is clean, zero pollution, zero emission energy, mother nature friendly. On the laptop, since I'm posting on the greatest, rawest, realest, revolutionaryest raw YouTube channel, which deals with all things under the sun. My work as an independent athlete, independent activist, independent artist. Not the best quality of the laptop, but it's more my voice and my vision and my discussions and my lectures and my theories, which are more important, which I'm communicating and lecturing and discussing in a oral manner, but have been written on pages and USB keys and different USB keys, some lost USB keys in the past more than 7, 8, 9, 10 or so years, as I've dealt years of struggle, years of pain and suffering, been depressed and suicidal. I've conquered depression, I've conquered depression. I work out, train, exercise has been my medicine and therapy, and will be today my medicine and therapy after all the work that I do now in the morning, this intellectual, artistic, meditative, and spiritual and philosophic work that I do. And I'm going to do some readings, continuing the readings from the Dictionary of Politiks. I'm grateful, thankful for the rent being paid and electricity being paid, and the fact that I am utilizing clean, zero pollution, zero emission energy to do this video, thanks to the brains and muscle, because it requires brains and muscle for us to build, maintain, and upgrade civilization. It requires brain and muscle. So thank you to those workers, past, present, and future. I'm going to credit you big dragon hugs and big dragon kisses, because kisses and hugs got some brains and some muscle, some philosophy, some art, and some humor and some comedy with that. I enjoy a good laugh sometimes. I do write some comedy and don't mind doing some comedic laughing and having a good time, while at the same time some my theories are of a serious nature, and there's serious things to my theories, and my dream has a serious dimension. But of course we can have some comedy and some humor while doing the things that we do and laugh. And sometimes I laugh at my own self, and I say that I'm a piece of dust in the face of the goddess. I say in my spiritual teachings, as a universal spiritual teaching student, because I'm learning every day. I don't know at all, but I do say the word goddess, Goddes, the word goddess. And how easy does it come when you hear God, 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 for us to also say also the word goddess. The goddess dances with her brother the sun to make, create, and produce all fruits, vegetables, and legumes, and all grains without exception that we eat, that we utilize to produce the foods that we eat. Even this black coffee bean comes from a red berry, which was initially made, created, and produced by the dance of the goddess with her brother the sun. And now the sun covers coast to coast. The sun is my pope. The sun is my pope. The sun is my pope. Coast to coast. And Mother Nature and their spirituality, when I have more sophisticated, cosmopolitan, more complex dimensions of spirituality, which integrates the physicality and the psychology and sexuality and all things to do with nature and civilization in my spiritual teachings. But of course, like I say, the sun is my pope. The sun now covers from coast to coast. That way is the Maritime Canada, the Atlantic, East Canada, the Atlantic, the Maritime Provinces, New Brunswick, Prince Edward Island, Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, Labrador, of course, Newfoundland, and that way is the West Coast, which is Vancouver, British Columbia, and of course Seattle, Washington, and of course California, all the way to San Francisco and LA. But we have time zones, so we got to subtract 3 hours, because in Vancouver, British Columbia, and San Francisco, LA, all in the Bay Area, we got to subtract minus 3 hours. So minus 3 hours. If it's exactly 10:30 a.m. here in the morning in Hawk Island, Montreal. So that means it's 7:30. So they're having their early morning. On the West Coast. But at this time, the sun, my pope, covers coast to coast. Canada, coast to coast, with a rays of sun more intense because it's autumn, but still from coast to coast, and go all the way to the U.S., coast to coast U.S. and Mexico and Guatemala, and of course Costa Rica, Panama, Honduras, El Salvador, going down to Colombia, Bolivia, Peru, Venezuela, the Suriname, to Chile, of course to Uruguay, Paraguay, Argentina, and Brazil. So by that dance of the goddess, forgotten goddess, aka Mother Nature, the greatest artist, the scientist, the dance of the goddess with her brother, the sun, makes, creates, and produces all fruits, vegetables, and legumes without exception by that dance. Of course, it's also scientific because the black fertile earth has nutrients, elements, and vitamins inserted into the ground, which makes everything grow with the sun rays that fertilize the water, which goes into the penetration of the black fertile earth from the sun. The rays, the golden sun rays of the sun, goes into the earth and makes all the fruits, all the legumes, all the vegetables, all the wheat, the barley grow. But it is harvested by my brothers and sisters farmers who harvest those foods for us to make, upgrade, or build civilization, because everybody gotta eat. Even Wall Street, cause everybody gotta eat. Even Wall Street, cause everybody gotta eat. Even Wall Street. So please, if you're making me in a stock market today, finance, give 10% for food security first, women's sports leagues, and LGBTQ youth services, and then of course for the environment. If you buy, sell, trade stocks today, so that is one of my the motto of the Dancing Goddess Army, which I'm calling the creation of. Officially, the Dancing Goddess Army is called the International Integrated Dance League, that I'm calling as part of my dream to be integrated with all existing public and private institutions and organizations, calling all willingly loving to support, volunteer, join, pledge your allegiance, allegiance, pledge your allegiance, allegiance, pledge your allegiance, allegiance, to the dream of the Dancing Goddess and the Dragon Kingdom, which yours truly, Adrian Hanna Dragon, the androgynous pansexual, is the founder thereof. Was not perfect, far from it, but do I do firmly believe in my trinity of theories of the CIT, Citizen Integration Theory, Debt Refusion Theory, and Democratic Fusion Theory via the fourth dimension, to implement the trinity of theories of the CIT, Citizen Integration Theory, Debt Refusion Theory, and Democratic Fusion Theory to be implemented via the fourth dimension. And that fourth dimension is love, because love is also action. And please, my main message after all I say in this more than an hourly long go overtime was more than the games in the NHL and the NFL and the NBA, which are an hour, right? Because NBA, National Basketball League, has periods, 3 periods times 20 minutes. Each period has 20 minutes. That's 20 times 3. That's 60. 60 minutes is an hour. NFL got quarters, 4 quarters times 15 minutes. Each quarter is 60. 4 times 15 is 60. 60 an hour. And of course, the NHL has got also periods. Each period has 20 minutes. 20 times 3 is 1 hour. So 1 hour they play. Multi-millionaire athletes in the NFL, National Football League, NHL, National Hockey League, NBA. Please give 10% of the owners of the sports leagues, of the Habs, of the all the sports leagues, of the Baltimore Ravens, of the Buccaneers, of all the sports in the NFL, NHL, NBA, and MLB. Please give 10% of what the owners as well, the profits that the owners made of the independent individual sports teams of different cities, and the athletes or multimillionaires. Please give 10% of what y'all made during COVID for women's sports leagues. Women's sports leagues rock, and I've been calling this for years, and I've been calling for the implementation of my of my theories, of my theories, of my theories. CIT, DRT, and Democratic Fusion Theory. So please give 10% for women's sports leagues. What you make during COVID is 10%. Over a million is 100,000. That is my call, has been my call, and to be parallel to the existing leagues, I call for the creation of the International Integrated Dance League, the Dancing Goddess Army, which is my dream and part of to be complementary in a covenant cooperative way with the Dragon Army. That is my dream. The Dancing Goddess and the Dragon Kingdom are one, and I'm calling on, of course, the aforementioned to do those acts of goodness and kindness, do those acts of goodness and kindness, and increasing acts of goodness and kindness. All I'm calling on all to increase in acts of goodness and kindness, and especially do more China. I'm not totally selfless, I admit. I want to afford more bacon on the weekly, and I'm still grateful that I've been able to afford the bacon on September, half price. I saw it almost half price. I think it was 44% off, 44% off, 44% off. So I got the bacon and I ate bacon, but I do want to afford a wine, which I saw it was 28.65 last month. I said, wow, it's so expensive, this wine, 28.65. But I say, in the comparison, this is a local wine. Paradoxically, it's a local wine from Quebec. Local wine from Quebec. We do have wineries and we do produce wine in Quebec and Canada. Wines on grapes. Grapes is my favorite fruit. And of course, it was 28.65. I said, wow, I can get three wine bottles of the same 1 liter or the same quantity from France, from Italy, and from Spain, from these three countries, because they were 860, 835, and 910. So that adds up to even less than 28. So one bottle, the price, I mean, in the terms of the price value, you could buy three, one from France, wine from France, one bottle of wine from Italy, and one bottle of wine from Spain. So you can buy three bottles of different countries, from Spain, from Italy, and from France, and still it will come out to like 27, while the local bottle of wine which I wanted to try was 28.65. So in other words, yes, I do want to be able to afford that, and I want to afford a good bottle of wine. And I'm not a big drinker of vodka or whiskey or stuff like that, but I do want to try cocktails. I do want to have a brand new red suit and steel toe boots, specifically steel toe boots, because I still got the laces that my anonymous sister donated. The best laces I ever had. They are rainbow laces, the best rainbow laces that I ever had, donated by my sister. They're rainbow, literally 7 colors of the rainbow, literally, not in a mystical or abstract manner, but they are rainbow laces. And I said I'm gonna wear them on the new steel toe boots. I want to do more dancing. The best is the best dancer, dancing for world peace and calling all willingly loving by my dance philosophies and art. So here I am, 10:37 a.m. in the morning. I'm not perfect. At some things I am mediocre. At some things I am average. At some things I am so-so. But my main message is everything that I will polemic, blah 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 blah. My main message is this: with consent, to my allies and armies, with consent today, hug like you never hugged before. Hug the whole duration. If you're an ally and army, where am I discussing my dream and I blah blah, sing a little song, go along with the spiders and the crows and the hawks and the toes. On the toes we go for the DGA dancing army. Let's go, blah 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 blah, tra la la. Please hug today like you never hugged before. Please hug today like you never hugged before. Please hug today for the whole amount of time that I'm gonna lecture, discuss, and read. Hug, take a break, do it like the periods in hockey and like the quarters in the football, and do it 15 or 10 or 20 minutes and then take a break. As that's the main message. With consent today, make LOV. With consent today, make LOV. With consent today, make LOV. Because otherwise, what are we fighting to save civilization for? If someone is not making love today, what else? We're on the verge of World War III. It's serious. It's serious. It's serious. My theories, they have a serious element. Their implementation, their geopolitical analysis, and everything that has gotten into them. My analysis as a geopolitical analyst have sounded the alarm back in October 2019 after analyzing the geopolitical situation, of which I am great, super, and excellent at geopolitical analysis, can analyze deep dimensions of the regions and the interplay of the different trade agreements and the organizations and the past historical events and antecedents and the diplomacy and, of course, the conflicts within and without the internal affairs when compared with the external affairs and the foreign affairs and all these factors combined. I've analyzed back in 2019 October, and I've said that we are on a path towards another international conflagration, meaning a World War III, and I have paradoxically have created my workout to go hand in hand with such an event. The workout that I'm referring, of course, to is the General War Integrated Total Body Training System, of which I have performed more than 300 sessions now so far. But September 29th of this year, have successfully completed 300 sessions of my own creative workout training program, which is effective, efficient, and simple, requires no equipment, and is easy to do and has been easy to do. And I've performed more than 300. At 300, I have officially turned the A of my surname into an O. Dragon became dragon, dragon became dragon, dragon became dragon. And I've successfully accomplished my own victory, 300 sessions of it, of my own creative workout training program, which is simply effective and efficient. I'm looking for volunteers to build a Dragon Army app, Dragon Army app, Dragon Army app, and of course, as I'm calling all for the public-private partnership of the Dragon Army, which is a major component of my Dancing Goddess and Dragon Kingdom dream, the dream of the Dancing Goddess and the Dragon Kingdom, the dream of the Dancing Goddess and the Dragon Kingdom, or the Dancing Goddess Empire and the Dragon Empire, the dancing goddess and the dragon kingdom are one kingdom, like two sides to a coin. So, taking into consideration back then in 2019, I've sounded the alarm, I've sounded the alarm, I've sounded the alarm. I've said that we are again on the path towards another international conflagration. Back in October 2019, after have analyzed the situation on a global scale, and I've said, hey, we are again on the path towards another international conflagration, and so created that workout to go hand in hand with such an event. And that event, of course, it kind of manifested in the COVID. Now, on COVID, I don't know for sure. I am triple vaccinated, and please, I urge all to increase in hygiene in public. Wash your hands with soap and water, hand sanitizer, disinfect, rub with hand sanitizer, because there's microbes, bacteria, and germs out there. So we gotta be careful with the public hygiene, and we have a responsibility in public. Right now, I'm in my underground, literally underground room, office, and temple. Literally underground room, office, and temple. Literally underground room. It's my room, my office, and my temple, where I write poetry, philosophy, do workouts, XYZ. But when step outside, I'm no longer just a private citizen dragon. An added dimension to that being a private citizen is added on, and that is the public dimension. With at the moment, the main foremost responsibility is an obligation and duty for public hygiene. So please wash your hands with soap and water when you go in a bank, when you go in a grocery store, when you go in a school, and when you go in a mall, or any domain which is not your private domain. Because in theory, I can turn everything off here now. Close the blinds, get naked, and start dancing naked on Tekashi 6ix9ine music, Madonna music, or Ye music, or whatever music, rock, rap, techno, whatever. My price for an hour naked dance is $1 million. Will pay my $10,000 debt if we don't have the DRT implemented, the Debt Refusion Theory, which I'm going to discuss because I'm calling for its implementation. If we don't have the DRT implemented, and I'm going to give half to my sister because she deserves it. She's a great artist. And I'll give half of every million to my anonymous sister and half of the dancing goddess and the dragon kingdom. If that comes, that is what it is. So yours truly on this 10:42 a.m. in this morning in Hawk Island, Montreal, Adrian Hanna, dragon androgynous pansexual founder of the dancing goddess and the dragon kingdom, calling all willingly loving. I am grateful, thankful that my rent is paid in full, fully paid my rent. My electricity bill is fully paid. I've paid my electricity bill, my rent, so I am open for business. Triple vaccinated on COVID. This is my Trinity. Has been, is, and will be my Trinity. On COVID, first and foremost, I do not know what caused COVID. Second, I believe it was transmitted from snakes to human beings. Second, since do not know for sure what caused COVID, I cannot rule out another possibility, XYZ, a man-made virus, an accident in a lab, or a bioweapon, or X, Y other possibilities. I don't believe that, but I do believe it was transmitted from snakes, but I do not know for sure, so there's a doubt. So I leave another possibility. To that Trinity, I don't know for sure. I believe it's transmitted from snakes. Some other people say bats or pigs or fowl or other creatures, edible creatures like frogs or type of animal. What's called zoonotic. So I believe in a zoonotic transmission, but I don't know for sure. Thus, I cannot rule out another possibility. That's my Trinity on COVID. Well, I do know there's a fourth dimension to that Trinity. There's a fourth dimension to that Trinity. There's a fourth dimension. What I do know 100% without any doubt whatsoever is that before COVID, 93 days or so before COVID, October 17th, I've performed and I've recorded, got proof of work, my General War Integrated Total Body Training System, aka the Dragon Army workout. I've recorded and made it to go hand in hand with a World War III scenario. Based on my analysis back in October, I've sounded the alarm. I've said humanity, we're again on a path towards another international conflagration. As a world peace advocate, paradoxically, still am a world peace advocate. Also not only a world peace advocate, but also a geopolitical analyst and theorist who has also lived a lot of suffering, pain. Have also admit the lower aspects of my own self, the lower aspects of my own self, which are hard to admit sometimes. I admit, yes, I do have aggression. Two keywords of my philosophy is channeling and sublimating. Sublimating and channeling. Sublimation and channeling. Not repressing, because repressing would make one sick and ill and disease and whatever have you have. So channel and sublimate. Feel angry, feel moody, aggression. Push-ups. Medicine and therapy. Push-ups. There's what Dr. Dragon the people trying to prescribe. 50 push-ups. 75 push-ups. 100 push-ups. Stop. There you go. It has been my medicine and therapy, and I believe it can be for many. Speaking for myself, I have been calling on the mass financing thereof for people to work out, to train, exercise, to adopt and integrate my workout across all institutions and organizations, the public ones, public security forces. That I'm calling, of course, for the Dragon Army Alliance with all existing organizations and institutions, public security forces, to integrate and adopt my philosophies, such as that this body is a temple for pleasure and purpose. And how do we invest in the body? By working out, training, and exercise. How do we invest in the body? By working out, training, and exercising. That's how we invest in the body, by working out, training, and exercising. Right? For me, that's my investment, and that's the body is a temple for pleasure and purpose. And then hygiene. Hygiene. I get dirty, but I get back clean. So back in 2019, as a world peace advocate, as a geopolitical analyst, as a person on an independent fitness journey, as the people's athlete, the people's athlete, the people's athlete. Back in 2019, I sounded the alarm. I said humanity were again on a path towards another international conflagration, aka World War III. And so created, made, and designed the workout, the Dragon Army workout. Officially, the title is General War Integrated Total Body Training System, which is a total body training system of which I'll perform more than 300 sessions. It's simple, effective, and efficient, requires no equipment. And I've created it to go hand in hand with such an event, such a scenario where gyms would be closed, where XYZ factors, all the XYZ factors which, due to COVID, have transpired, have occurred in many, many ways. For all I know, maybe the stock market could crash today, could crash tomorrow. The stock market, we could have an economic crisis. People are thinking recession, recession, recession. I'm myself living the worst economic, financial, commercial crisis of my adult life, but I'm open for business. I'm auctioning this red hoodie, red hoodie, red hoodie. Somebody give me 300, somebody give me 300, 300. But red hoodie, black jeans, black socks, XYZ, coffee mug, coffee mug, coffee mug, blah, 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 blah. So I'm open for business. I'm also conducting business within the realms of course, the public sphere, the internet, and which we are, of course, allowed to do, allowed to do, allowed to do it. The different levels. And so back in 2019, I've created the workout training program, of which I've put online hundreds of workout videos you can see, and I've done hundreds of workout videos as part of my fitness journey, and kind of open source, right? Open source, just like there's the internet and my brother Musk, brother Musk, invite you here, Musk, Sheryl Sandberg, Mark Zuckerberg, my astrological brother Scorpio, Bill Gates, my astrological brother Scorpio, Bill Gates, my astrological brother Scorpio, Bill Gates, invite you. Yeah, here in this room, Austin Temple. While I still got coffee for a few weeks, maybe for even a month. So until mid-November, maybe 22 days. So let's say by November 17th, I still got coffee. So while supply lasts, I can give you a cup of coffee, maybe some of these very affordable crackers with something on them, jam or something, jam if I have. So I can sell you a little bit of that in a modest way. We can discuss public-private partnership of my dream, the Dancing Goddess in the Dragon Kingdom, and some scientific, technological elements, because in a parallel life I am a scientist involved in science, innovation, and technology, while in this life I am involved in philosophy, art, the physicality, spirituality, and theory. Theory is an independent social, political, economic, financial theorist. I believe in the implementation of my trinity of theories with all the imperfections and the flaws of character, and I get moody and I get XYZ and this and that, and I admit, I have lust, and I do watch a little bit of adult movies, PORN during the Sabbath, which begins Friday and ends Sunday. No need to spy on me, RCMP, no need to spy on me, RCMP, no need to spy on me, RCMP, CSIS, NSA, CIA. Stasi are gone. East Germany in November 9, 1989 with the Berlin Wall. MI6. FSB, former KGB, former KGB. Mossad. Tiny little androgynous scar clit dick. We gotta get that out of the way. I got tiny hands, tiny feet. We could proceed with more serious matter while also having some comedy and humor, and not devoid of comedy and humor to laugh a little bit. I believe laughing can be a soap for the soul. Laughing can be a soap for the soul. Laughing can be a soap for the soul. While of course we also take care of XYZ and find some solutions to the impasses that we're facing to. For all we know, World War III could start. That's why my main message, Carpe Diem, every day is to make LOV with consent. Make love today with consent. My allies and armies, make love today and hug like you never hugged before today. Hug like you never hugged before. A good dragon hug stole my willing, loving allies and armies. Thank you, love you, kiss you, hug you, farmers, 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 because everybody got to eat, even Wall Street farmers across the North American collective civilization. Thinking of all the farmers now harvesting, and of course all those truckers, farmers, truckers, butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, grocery store clerks, and dairy workers, dock workers on the coast, of course on the ports, loading and unloading the trucks, loading and unloading the trucks, loading and unloading the trucks, as I am, of course, calling and have been the founder of the Global Dragon Union, and the founder of the Global Dragon Union, and the founder of the Global Dragon Union, which is the 21st century, because I'm a pro-labor, universal revolutionary centrist. I am a pro-labor, universal revolutionary centrist, a pro-labor, universal revolutionary centrist, meaning that in my universal revolutionary centrism, I believe in the primacy of my theories, the CIT, citizen integration theory, the Debt Refusion Theory, and the democratic fusion theory. So I'm going to express my gratitude, of course, to all those involved in the production and distribution of food. Thank you, Leviticus, you all those involved in the production and distribution of food, from the farmer who harvested those grains, wheat, barley, to make the bread, for the milk, for the bacon, the butchers and the bakers, the cooks, the bakers, butchers, the butchers, the bakers, the farmers, the grocery store clerks who stack the shelves, who put the shelves for all levels, at all levels, as yours truly, independent artist, independent athlete, the people's athlete who has dedicated and will dedicate my workouts, my athletic workouts and artistic workouts to the farmers, to the truckers, to the nurses, to the doctors, to the butchers, to the dock workers, to the grocery store clerks, to those bus drivers, firefighters, public security workers, of course, railway workers, the railway workers, those workers in the railways. Think about how much, of course, railways and rail freight train now goes across the collective North American civilization, because of course, my theory as a geopolitical analyst and theorist, I propose, and I am a proponent of my theory called the collective North American civilization, that we in the collective North American civilization constitute a collective civilization, meaning that it has common denominators and it expresses in its North Americanism, which I am a North American, and I'm a Quebecer, Canadian, North American. When somebody asks, why are you? I usually say I'm North American. So somebody asks usually where I'm from, because I'm in Hokkaido, Montreal. Somebody I say from, I point, and I point to where I live, usually that way, a mile away, where I'm from, that way. That way. Many past lives I've lived, many incarnations, many past lives, incarnations. I was born right here on this island in a past life, helped the strong person, Louis load some trucker, some on the cart, some horses on the cart, pushed those horses on the cart. So for those loading and unloading the trucks, how many trucks are going now with grains, with legumes, with fruits, with bags of potatoes, bags of milk, bags of bacon and cheese, and all the products that we use for us to feed ourselves, because eating is a holy, sacred, divine thing for me, and it builds, maintains, and upgrades civilization, right? So how many trucks across North America, the collective North American civilization, Canada, US, Mexico, but I do include also, of course, the islands in the collective North American civilization. I'm not gonna, that's a whole lecture. I've given classes and lectures and discussions before on the coffee of my coffee with Dragon series on just those topics, and of course the collective North American civilization, what it constitutes and what it is, and of course what it symbolizes in a geopolitical, as a geopolitical entity and a civilization, the collective North American civilization as a geopolitical entity. And of course, let's meditate a bit on the truckers. How many truckers now going across the collective North American civilization, and farmers, love you, kiss you, farmers, and butchers, and bakers, and railway workers. I mean, I hear politicians, blah blah. Some are better, some are gooder. Some I don't like to generalize. I like to offer some constructive criticism and alternative constructive criticism. Because yes, I admit I am mediocre at some things. I am average at other things. I am so-so at some things. At some things I'm so-so, at other things I'm average, at some things I'm mediocre, while being great, super and excellent at geopolitical analysis and theory, working out, training, exercising, who works out like Dragon, challenging the athletes in the NFL, National Football League, NHL, National Hockey League, NBA, National Basketball Association, MLB. You try to do my workouts. within the rules are simple, effective, and efficient. 93 minutes to do 100 push-ups, 100 squats, 100 hocks, 13 reps maximum per set, 3 minimum anywhere in between 6, 5, 7, 9, 10, whatever the number is in between those sets. 31 seconds minimum is required of marching, jogging, or running, walking, fast pace in between. Within those rules, try to do it. You're eligible to be a potential dragon, and when you reach 300 of those sessions, you're the next dragon. Is I am Dragon Zero now, I am Dragon Zero now, I am Dragon Zero now. Alright, so the motto of the Dragon Army, of which I'm the founder of, and calling all willingly loving citizens, the public and the private institutions and organizations to an alliance, to a participation, to a cooperation, cooperate with the Dragon Army, which is my dream, part of my dream, the Dancing Goddess and the Dragon King, which is my call based on my philosophies, theories, and geopolitical analysis. As I've said back in October 2019, we are on a path, humanity towards another international conflagration, in other words, a World War III, and here we are. As some say, World War III has begun. Is World War III can begin anytime. Make love today, hug like you never hugged today, with consent, consent, consent. What are we fighting for? So save civilization if somebody's not going to make love tonight, today, to hug hard. For Wall Street, for Mr. Fink of Black Hawk, Black Hawk, Black Rock. Mr. Fink, Mr. Fink. For Wall Street, for multi-billionaires, multi-millionaire artists, art, athletes. That's why we're fighting for to save civilization. You go fight with them. Because Adrian Hunter Dragon, I fight my own battles. We can freestyle battle rap. You best believe I'm gonna mention the farmers love you because everybody gotta eat, even Wall Street, truckers, butchers, nurses, doctors, grocery store clerks. You know, we can dance, dance, dance. We can put a dance, freestyle rap battle, or dance battle, and dance with referees with XYZ, and keep it sportsmanship like, sportsmanship like. Or we can of course put gloves and go in the ring, anywhere, anytime, any place. You can challenge me if I've offended, trigger, whatever, blah 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 blah. You can go one on one. I fight my own battles, and make love today is the main message. Because if somebody's not making love, and I could use a good massage therapy session today, because I'm sore from working out, but I cannot afford it. It's expensive, but I'm grateful that my rent's paid. I pay my rent is October 19th. My rent is fully paid. My electricity bill is fully paid. I'm open for business and have been open for business. Blah blah blah. Tra la 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 blah blah. I know. I know. I know. I've lost economic, financial opportunity of blessings and continuance of blessing due to being LGBTQ. People gossip. We gossip. Because we don't admit we have jealousies, myself included. Sometimes we feel inferior at certain people who have certain skills, certain competencies, certain values. Well, you know, which you are nails, which you are nails, which you are nails. We gossip. In the 21st century, I firmly believe in the Global Dragon Union's 2011 Holy, Sacred, and Divine Principles of the Global Dragon Union, of which one is to try to avoid gossip. Try to avoid gossip, try to avoid that. Sometimes it's better to address things directly in a straightforward and direct manner. Such as right now, my rent being paid, electricity being paid, and you best sure I'm gonna work out hard later, working out, training, and exercising. And after this video is done, I'm gonna go knocking on some doors, see, do follow-ups, 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 and try to see for opportunity and continuing with the Dancing Goddess and the Dragon dreams, the work that I'm doing as an independent athlete, independent activist, independent artist, AAA artist, activist, athlete, whatever. Sometimes athlete first when I work out, sometimes activist first when I call for the those millionaires and billionaires to give 10% for food security, because everybody got to eat, even Wall Street, for women's sports, 6 for LGBTQ youth services, and for other, of course, environmental causes, or to do XYZ as an activist, whatever it is. And part of the Dragon Army, of course, and I'm calling for the creation of the Dragon Army, of course. And everything that I do as a geopolitical analyst and theorist, and I've done, of course, the analysis in the past where it has proven to be theoretically and quite on the mark. Perhaps not 100% with all the analysis, but a lot of it has been proven to come correct. And that's why during COVID, I've begun advocating for the implementation of my philosophies and my theories, of which is the CIT, Citizen Integration Theory, Debt Refusion Theory, and Democratic Fusion Theory. That trinity of theories that I'm calling the implementation via the fourth dimension LOV, that I'm calling on the implementation via the fourth dimension LOV. The fourth dimension is LOV. That's the fourth dimension. So here we are on this second part. It is 11 a.m. exactly. It is 11 a.m. exactly. 11 a.m. exactly in the morning, October 19th, 2022. Please, corporations, millionaires, billionaires, help to reduce the prices of the Halloween candies, the Halloween goods, and the Halloween goods and candies and sweets and chocolates and goods and all the candies. Reduce it half ASAP by 3 p.m. today. If not today, tomorrow. If not today, by the end of the week. Have next week ASAP, because usually it's reduced half price. All the candies, all the goods, all the sweets after Halloween, and a lot of it is discarded. 10, 15, even close to 20%, a fifth sometimes is discarded in the garbage, depending. Sometimes it may vary from store to store, neighborhood to neighborhood, city to city, but a lot of the Halloween candy is discarded afterwards, right? A few weeks after, it's thrown to the garbage. Sometimes the chocolate, the gummies, all the sweets, the sweet and sours, the Halloween candy, after like a few weeks, it's discarded. A lot of it, tons and tons and tons across North America, is thrown to the garbage. So please, with the record profits, reduce it before, so that now many struggling families can afford it. That is my call part of the one of my projects, Rainbow Witch projects, and all the projects and the vendor I'm working with. I have, as I say, that I've come in with a new CV. As I've Adrian H. Dragon died during COVID, I'm coming with a new CV. I put in more physical, artistic, intellectual, geopolitical, spiritual work than all the leaders of the free world combined, and I've marched more than all the generals of NATO combined during COVID. As my new CV, I've marched in steel-toe boots more than all the generals of NATO combined during COVID, while I put in more intellectual, physical, spiritual, and political and geopolitical, and of course physical work than all the leaders of the free world combined during COVID. Adrian Dragon, I've put in more intellectual, physical, spiritual, geopolitical, philosophical work than all the leaders of the free world combined during COVID, while also I've marched in steel-toe boots more than all the generals of NATO combined during COVID. So I'm gonna say gratitude. Thank you, love you, kiss you, farmers. Thank you, love you, kiss you, butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, grocery store clerks, those picking the garbage every week, picking the compost every week, and the recycling every week. The sanitation workers of the city. Thank you, love you, kiss you. All the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the railway conductors, the bus drivers, the bus drivers, the bus drivers, the dock workers, the dock workers. Those loading and unloading the trucks. Those loading and unloading the trucks, because it takes brain and muscle. Those loading and unloading the trucks all across this collective North American civilization. Love you, kiss you, hug you. I offer to all those aforementioned farmers, butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, grocery store clerks, and dock workers. Big dragon hugs, big dragon. You can say no to my offer. That's what I offer, because that's what I got. Got some lots of hugs, lots of kisses, some tickles. You can say no, I don't want any tickles. I don't want any hugs. Fine, it's fine. Say no, consent, consent, consent. It's important. If you want some brain and some muscle, some philosophy, say yes. This philosophy, this theories, this trinity of theories, that is what's the important thing. The CIT, citizen integration theory, the debt refusion theory, and the democratic fusion theory. That trinity of theories. And thank you, love you, kiss you, also firefighters. Thank you, love you, kiss you, also firefighters. Thank you, love you, kiss you, also firefighters. Thank you, love you, also kiss you, firefighters and public security workers and all involved in the production and distribution of food, because everybody gotta eat, even Wall Street. Even Wall Street gotta eat. And even the nurses, the doctors, all, even multi-millionaire athletes. Multi-millionaire athletes, even multi-millionaire athletes have to eat. Multi-millionaire athletes who we love. I love the sport, but I'm calling on them to do more. I'm calling on them to do more. Multi-millionaire athletes. He already got so many millions, got 7 houses, 7 cars. I love the sport. I love hockey, although I can skate, cannot break. I love football. I love dancing is my favorite sport. Dancing is my favorite sport. Dancing is my favorite sport, and you know that dancing is my favorite sport. The world's greatest living dancer. I'm here in a Rainbow Point. While dancing is my greatest sport, I also love some basketball. I love watching basketball, and I'm calling, of course, on you to try to maybe finance, mass finance, multi-millionaire athletes and owners of the sports leagues first and foremost, because the owners, of course, you have some of you are multi hundreds of millions and billionaires across multi-millionaires and billionaires, artists and athletes and owners and CEOs. There's this Halloween finance, candy, sweets, goods is one of my dreams. We're gonna load up a few trucks and we can rock and roll. If I can volunteer some brain and some muscle, and can get the rolling to the candies to the for example to drop off candies to the families and those who have, for example, have put on Halloween decorations, right? Halloween decorations. It would be nice to reduce it by half ASAP. The prices on all candies, goods, Halloween candies, Halloween sweets, Halloween treats, Halloween goods, all the Halloween goods. Usually it's reduced half price and more, 50% off the next day after Halloween. But now during this tough economic, financial, commercial times, it's needed to do before for the kids, for the children, That is one of my call to all, and of course to do other XYZ. So it's 11:06 a.m. in the morning. I'm gonna go get another cup of coffee, and we're gonna do some reading. We're gonna continue reading. Gonna get the second cup of coffee, and we begin the second part of this part 2 of Coffee with Dragon. I'm grateful, thankful for this cup of coffee, the farmers who harvested somewhere in the world. I'm grateful, thankful for this cup of coffee. It was harvested somewhere in the world from the initially made, created, and produced and designed by the dance of the goddess with her brother sun, the black fertile earth, with the nutrients, elements, vitamins thereof inside the black fertile earth, with the sun rays which fertilize with the water, the rain, let's make it rain, as it needs, of course, the water and the black fertile earth in combination with that dance with her brother, the goddess who dances with her brother sun, made, created, and produced this black coffee bean, which comes initially from a red berry, which was harvested by one of my brothers and sisters, farmers, somewhere in the world, maybe Brazil. I can speculate. It doesn't say the country of origin on the label, but it does say that it is dark roast. Dark roast, I know what it is, the dark roast type, and of course doesn't say the country of origin, but knowing that Brazil exports and is the top producer, it's mostly likely that it's from Brazil. It's highly likely it could be from Brazil, from Colombia, it could be from Panama, Costa Rica, it can be of course from Peru, Bolivia, it can be from many countries in Central or even Cuba, even Central or South America, or it could be from Africa, Ethiopia, Uganda, Ivory Coast, or it can be from Vietnam, even Asia, because Vietnam has become a top exporter of goods. I don't know, but I do know without a doubt that it was made, created, and produced. The black coffee bean was made, created, and produced by the dance of the goddess with her brother sun, as all fruits, vegetables, and legumes are made by that dance. And it was harvested by one of my brothers and sisters, farmers, and probably put on a truck, transported in a grocery store, and I bought it half price. Reduced a few weeks ago. And, I did see, I gotta do a complaint, there was a shrinkflation, so it went shrinkflation from 925 grams, now it's 900 grams, so 25 grams, they reduced the quantity, right? What's called shrinkflation. So from 925 grams, it's now 900 grams, and I got the proof there because I got the one with the 925 and the older one, which I bought a few months ago, 3 months ago or so, and the new one which I bought a few weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago, and it went from 925 grams to 900 grams, so 25 gram reduction on the box, like a barrel. So it was shrinkflated. So as I'm here calling on all willing living to support the dream of the dancing goddess and the dragon kingdom, I'm calling on the implementation, of course, of the Debt Refusion Theory first and foremost, the DRT, Debt Refusion Theory. What is the Debt Refusion Theory? The Debt Refusion Theory is my theory written over many years, and of course at this timely matter with the increasing, of course, with the inflation, and of course with the raising of the interest rates, with everything that's going on in economic, financial, commercial matter, I believe this theory, although it has some simple facts to it, it encompasses more sophisticated dynamics, but it's central and an element of my dancing goddess and dragon kingdom. So the DRT, the Debt Refusion Theory that I'm calling for the implementation ASAP, is taking all the public and the private debt. If my private and public debt is, let's see, we're gonna have to do a little bit of calculations. So taking all the private and the public debt, if my debt, I got $10,000 to the RBC debt. So my private debt as a private individual citizen is $10,000 Canadian to the RBC Royal Bank of Canada, Royal Bank of Canada, Royal Bank of Canada. So the $10,000 is my debt plus taking all the private and the public debt for Canadians, my brothers and sisters in the USA, whom I'm speaking of somebody who was born in the USA twice in past lives. As a matter of fact, 156 years ago, that way in the back where you see the beautiful priestess of the goddess dancing with the sun and the red dragon in the back and part of the rainbow flag above my head, being part of the LGBTQ community. And this rainbow dragon was born twice in past lives in the USA. Was born twice in past lives in the USA. Was born twice in past lives in the USA. As a matter of fact, 156 years ago, 718 miles south of Hawk Island, yours truly served in the U.S. Army. Served in the U.S. Army, and so I'm speaking also as a not just as a Quebecer, Canadian, North American. Of course, I'm a world peace advocate, a world citizen, but as a geopolitical analyst, theorist, and philosopher, and an independent athlete and artist. And Adrian Hanna Dragon, first and foremost, the North American dragon of North America, from the collective North American civilization of which my policy is. Pretty simple and straightforward and direct, as some sophistication in my philosophies and art can be. Overly sophisticated sometimes, straightforward and direct. Blame it on having been an Israeli in the past life. My policy in all things security, prosperity, economics, art, and for the collective North American civilization. For North America is we got one border, two oceans. We got one border, two oceans. We got one border, two oceans. So coast to coast, we gotta work on securing coast to coast, securing coast to coast, coast to coast. Public-private partnership, Dragon Army, blah 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 blah, tra la. And of course, the debt refusion theory is taken is central to the dancing goddess and the dragon kingdom dream. So taking all private and public debt. So if I'm private debt represented by the letter X, X of different citizens, if I'm X1 and you're X2, and there's hundreds of thousands, millions, tens of millions across North America of X's of private citizens with debt, and that's public debt, and convert it to the US dollar, what's called in Forex, foreign exchange. So the currencies vary in against each other, right? So the conversion, meaning from Canadian dollars to US dollars, from Mexican pesos to US dollars, and from euros to euros, and from Israeli new shekels, because of course from North America, NATO member countries, which Canada, US are part of, NORAD. NORAD is for North American Aerospace Defense, the NORAD Treaty, of course. So I'm calling for the NORAD Musk Dragon Zero Treaty, where I want 300 new Chinook black and red helicopters with a seven-pointed golden star on each side and a rainbow phoenix inside, one star on a rainbow dragon inside on the other side. On each stars, two stars, one on seven-pointed star on one side, golden, one golden seven-pointed star on the other side, and a rainbow phoenix and a rainbow dragon inside. One to be the public-private partnership for the Dragon Army, to be integrated with all existing public and private institutions and organizations across Instagram, social media, Facebook, and across, of course, with all radio, telecommunications, and public and private institutions of security and public security forces, NORAD and XYZ, to be in the 21st century for the Dragon Army, to be for security and service. So the DRT, the debt refusion theory, is taking all sure, no problem, B. I was trying to listen to a little bit of a radio interesting discussion on the apps, but when every 3 words people say and I kind of lose the rainbow dragon on this one. So if you can able to do a little bit of more fluent paragraph without interjecting those ahs every 6 words, then probably you get more of my attention. But if I hear the in every 6 words, 6 words and an and a 6 words and an and a 6 words and an well, maybe try again. So anyways, back to the DRT, debt refusion theory. Is taking all private and public debt. My private debt as an individual citizen is X. If I am X1 and you're X2 and there's hundreds of thousands, hundreds of millions of X's across North America and beyond, taking the X's, my private debt is X1 represents, and X2 would represent yours, and all the X's together, which meaning that the X would represent the private debt of private citizens. Taking all the debt, whatever it is in the US dollars, we'll have to do the conversion. So the Canadian debt of Canadian citizens, of all the Canadian citizens, the private debt, my private debt, let's say if I'm X1, X1 would be 10,000 because I'm $10,000 in debt to the RBC, Royal Bank of Canada. So X1 plus all the X's across Canada, coast to coast, and we have to do the conversion to US dollars. So this is the debt refusion theory in practice. Debt refusion theory in practice. How to implement the debt refusion theory. DRT, the debt refusion theory, so taking all private and public debt of private citizens such as myself. I'm X1, and if X, the letter X, represents all the private debt that is of private individual citizens such as myself, and X1, if I'm X1, you're X2, and there's hundreds of thousands, perhaps even millions of X's of Canadians with private debt such as 110,000 for myself. So taking all the debt, my debt included, and do the conversion, Canadian to US conversion. So we'll have to convert all the private and the public debt. So private debt, my 10,000 X and your X's and all the X's put together, X1 plus X2, whatever the number is, it will be in the trillions. So today when converted, do the conversion to US dollars, converted, that means that one Canadian dollar today is the equivalent of 73 cents US. One Canadian dollar today is the equivalent of 73 cents US. One Canadian dollar today is the equivalent of 73 cents US, and vice versa. One US dollar, this US dollar is the equivalent of $1.38 Canadian. So this US dollar today, printed in 2009, is the equivalent of $1.38 US. This US dollar, same as yesterday, printed in 2009, converts into $1.38 Canadian. This $1 US converts into $1.38 Canadian. So taking all the debt, private and public, the private debt would be represented by the letter X. So private citizens such as myself would be X's. I'm X1, my debt is 10,000, so taking 10,000. If you're X2 and you're 13,000, 10,000 plus 13,000, the X3 would be 4,000 plus 4,000, whatever the number is, it will be in the trillions, converting it to US dollars. But also not just the private debt, not just the X's. X would represent the private debt of private citizens, the public debt as well of Canada, the municipalities, the total debt of the municipalities, provinces, territories, Canada, by the letter Y. So Y1 Canada, Y2 United States, but United States is separate because the conversion will be into US dollars, because the US dollar is still the international currency of choice in world trade, and of course global commerce is still the currency of choice for the US dollar. Still the main currency, although been challenges since 2007 with the yuan. So Canadian dollar to US conversion, so taking all private and public debt of Canada, converting it to US dollar, whatever the number is, plus taking all the private and the public debt of the USA, that number stays like that because it's in US dollars. Let's see pesos. Peso today, one Mexican peso today is the equivalent of 5 cents US. One Mexican peso today is the equivalent of 5 cents US. One Mexican peso today is the equivalent of 5 cents US. And one US dollar, this US dollar today, this US dollar today, this US dollar today, one US dollar today is the equivalent of, it went up a bit, it appreciates, what's called appreciation. One US dollar today, it's 20 pesos point 13, 20.13 Mexican peso. One US dollar today is 20.13 13 Mexican peso. $1 today US is 20.13 Mexican peso. That is the exchange rate. $1 today is 20 point Mexican peso. And the euro, let's see the euro. Euro. €1 hasn't changed. It stayed the same, although it's been going down in the past weeks and months and years during COVID. The euro depreciated. One means that it lost value against the US dollar, and the inverse relationship, meaning that the US dollar appreciated against the euro. So €1 today is the equivalent of 98 cents US, same as yesterday, I believe so, also the last week. €1 today is the equivalent of 98 cents US. €1 today is the equivalent of 98 cents US. Hasn't changed, it stays the same since yesterday and the days before, it stands at parity. And $1 dollar, this US dollar is the equivalent of €1 and 2 cents. $1 dollar is the equivalent of 1.02 euros. So $1 US dollar is the equivalent of €1 and 2 cents. So 1.02. And of course, since my protocol Genesis 33, protocol Genesis 33, protocol Genesis 33 calls for, of course, it's like for Israel to be part of the dancing goddess and the dragon kingdom dream, the dancing goddess and the dragon kingdom dream, dancing goddess and the dragon kingdom dream. That's North America and beyond, Central America, South America, and of course Euro. And of course Genesis 33 refers to the twins when they met after a long separation and long years. They kissed and embraced. Genesis 33, long year of separation, and increased and they met and they embraced and they kissed. Please, with consent today, do kissing and hugging. With consent today, do kissing and hugging. So Genesis 33. With consent and hygiene, today, kiss and hug. Genesis 33 is the story of the twins who embraced and kissed in that story. So taking all the public and the private debt, refusing it, converted first. You have to be converted to the US dollar. So one new Israeli shekel today is the equivalent of, it hasn't changed also, it's 28 US cents. One new Israeli shekel is the equivalent to 28 US cents. One new Israeli shekel is the equivalent to 28 US cents, and vice versa. One US dollar, this dollar, is the equivalent of 3.54 new Israeli shekels. So one US dollar today is the equivalent of 3.54 new Israeli shekels. One US dollar today is the equivalent of 3.54 new Israeli shekels. So taking all the private and the public debt of North America, convert it into US dollars. Of course, also include Central America and beyond. My brothers and sisters in South America, Central America, brothers and sisters in the Middle East, brothers and sisters in Africa. And of course, first and foremost, NORAD, North America, the collective North American civilization, NATO member countries, countries of NATO, North America and Israel, and beyond and beyond and beyond. And of course, do debt refusion theory, the DRT, do debt refusion theory, implement debt refusion theory, taking all private and public debt. My private debt is 10,000. If I'm X1, you're X2 and X3 and XYZ and X and Y. There's not Z. Correction. There's no Z. There's only X and Y. The public and the private debt. Thank goodness we don't have an extra debt to the public and the private. It will be too much debt anyways. What can be so much debt? We already have our full in debt to the top, maxed out credit cards, maxed out credit cards. We know you're broke what you're posting on Instagram, man. So all the private and the public debt, refusing it. My debt refusion theory means this and is this in its implementation. Taking all the private and the public debt, all the private and the public debt, all the public and the private debt, refusing it. Taking my private debt, if I'm X1, you're X2, and there's hundreds of X's, thousands, tens of thousands, millions of X's, XYZ across this North American collective civilization and beyond. So X1 plus all the X's and the Y's would be the public debt of public countries such as Canada, US, and Mexico and beyond, Euro. And of course, it would be implemented and converted. First, there has to be a conversion into US dollars, right? And the debt refusion theory Applied means that we take all the private and the public debt, convert it into US dollars, like I did the Canadian to US dollar conversion. So all the public and private debt of Canada, convert that number, which is in the trillions, to US dollars. All the Mexican private and public debt, convert that into US dollars. All the Eurozone NATO member countries, of which there are 28 member countries in Europe, and Turkey is also a member, NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization member, NATO, taking all the public and the private debt, convert it into US dollar, the Israeli public and private debt, those shekels, new Israeli shekels, convert those shekels into the US dollar, and whatever the number is, added up, all the numbers in the trillions of all the Canadian dollars debt, Canadian debt, private and public, converted into US dollar, Mexican debt, private and public, converted into US dollars, Euro debt, converted into US dollars, Israeli debt, converted into US dollars, all that debt into US dollars. With that number, initial number, create a global central bank, a worldwide financial system, a new international global bank to issue a new unit, a new currency. Because money, what is money? What is this? Money fundamentally is to buy and sell, to buy and sell, to buy and sell, goods for goods. That is what money fundamentally is, right? Buy goods or services, and whatever the number is in the trillions, to create a new currency, which I call the UE, which I call the UE, Universal Exchange Unit. The Universal Exchange Unit. The Universal Exchange Unit stands for Universal Exchange Unit. The UE. Universal Exchange Unit. U dot E dot U dot. Universal Exchange Unit. The UE. The UE. So it stands for Universal Exchange Unit because it fundamentally, money is a means of buying and selling. So taking all the private and the public debt of Canada, North America and beyond, NATO member countries and Israel, convert the currencies except for the US dollar, because the US dollar, the US public and private debt would be that number. So that number added to all those other debts of Canada, public and private, which would be converted to US dollars, which will be converted to US dollars, which will be converted to US dollars. And with that number, we would create the initial money supply, the initial money supply of this new central bank to issue a transnational, global, international unit of exchange, a new currency, which we would call the UE, preferably by biometrics, the hand, the voice, and the eye are unique biometric identifiers. That's why I'm calling on a public-private partnership with all institutions and organizations. I'm calling on my astrological brother Bill Gates, Microsoft, Apple, Google, of course, Facebook, Instagram, and all governments aforementioned of North America, Canada, and all willingly living citizens, private and public citizens, to create the UE. This is the solution, the Debt Refusion Theory. As with all the little things that myself I do admit that I'm mediocre, average, and so-so at other things. I do admit being that, and that I'm so-so at other things, great. But I believe first and foremost with all my heart, mind, and body and soul, and my little tiny little androgynous scar-clear dick and tiny hands and tiny feet, got some brain and some muscle. With that, not perfect, far from it. I do believe in this theory to be implemented by a public-private partnership, the Debt Refusion Theory, the DRT, the Debt Refusion Theory. I firmly believe in it with a passion, mind, body, and heart and soul, that at this point in time in the 21st century, where we all knocking on the World War III and inflation and everything that's going on in the world, I do believe if public-private partnership, all corporations, all institutions, all organizations, and citizens to, of course, implement the DRT, Debt Refusion Theory. And by the implementation of this DRT, Debt Refusion Theory, to take all private and public debt, refuse it, work on a 7-year plan, starting with November 7, work on a 7-year plan, start November 7, a 7-year plan as we march to the mountain. And of course, by that new currency, the UE, the Universal Exchange Unit, preferably by biometrics, the hand, the voice, and the eye being unique biometric identifiers, to finance and institutionalize and implement and have the international citizen integrated social security and service force, aka the Dragon Army, with the international integrated dancing, aka the Dancing Goddess Army. Two complementary covenant and cooperative institutions, which I am calling the formation, in order for us to secure food, housing, and transport by the Dragon Army, the mobilization of 1% citizens, east, west, north, south, across NORAD, North America and beyond, NATO, and Israel and beyond, of course, and to integrate with all existing public and private institutions for security organization and implement my philosophy philosophies encourage people to exercise, work out, train. Exercise is working out, training, and exercising has been, is, and will continue to be my medicine and therapy of choice. Please, 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 brothers and sisters, increasing hygiene in public. Wash your hands with soap and water, hand sanitizer, because there's microbes, bacteria, and germs. So do not neglect, omit when in public. We have an added dimensions of responsibility, duty, and obligation at the moment is public hygiene, to wash your hands and disinfect your hands with hand soap and sanitizer and water. So I do firmly believe in the implementation of my theory known as the DRT. The Debt Refusion Theory stands for DRT, Debt Refusion Theory, taking all the public and the private debt, refusing it, of course, for North America, Canadian debt, US debt. Well, US will stay the same in US dollar, Mexico, and of course NATO member countries and beyond, with Israel and all other willingly loving, to create the universal exchange unit. So all the private and the public debt converted into US dollar, whatever the number is, and with all that number, adding all that numbers is going to be in the trillions. Initially found this global central bank with that money supply. That was going to be the initial supply of the UE, and then to increase the money supply as the economy will grow and will recover and have more prosperity and attain harmony between civilization and nature, we're going to increase it on a maximum principle of 10%. 10% maximum principle of 10% on all loans, business loans, commercial loans, and all other loans. On the interest will be pegged at 10% maximum. It could be 9.9, 9.3, 8.8, 7.70, whatever the number, 7.77, XYZ, but at the maximum principle of 10% on all loans, whatever loans, business loans, pleasure loans, private loans, XYZ thereafter. So I do firmly believe in the implementation of this theory called the DRT, Debt Refusion Theory, taking all private and public debt, refusing it, basically create a new currency, a global central bank, transnational, to issue this currency called the UE, preferably by biometric, the hand, the voice, and the eye are unique biometric identifiers. That's why I'm calling all private and public organizations, institutions, and governments, of course, to support it. And after we have the DRT, because the DRT have to come first, the Debt Refusion Theory, then with that number, whatever that number is, to create the two complementary covenant institutions of the International Citizen Integrated Social Security and Service Force, aka the Dragon Army, in order, of course, to be integrated with all institutions and organizations across North America and NATO member countries and beyond. Secure the three essential elements of civilization first and foremost. Those three essential elements of civilization first and foremost are food, housing, and transport. And I'm now to do a meditation on all the food, all the trucks across North America and NORAD, where they from XYZ, from the farmers to the transportation, all the food that's being transported to all the fast food and the restaurants which now produce food for us. You gotta eat on the daily, right? Unless you're fasting and on a diet. Myself gotta eat after this video, intellectual, sophisticated, and meditative video. My call to all as an independent artist, independent activist, independent athlete, AAA plus philosopher, as a geopolitical analyst and theorist, and as the founder of the Dancing Goddess and the Dragon Kingdom, which is my dream, which calls for this implementation of this theory, DRT, and afterwards with the Dancing Goddess Army, aka the International Integrated Dancing, because it's gonna be an international and integrated dancing, all genders inclusive, all ages, all sexual orientations inclusive, and to be for pleasure and purpose. That is the dream, part of the Dancing Goddess and the Dragon dream, all the aforementioned. And to be for pleasure and purpose, to dance for pleasure because it's pleasurable. My favorite sport is dancing. And for environmental education and action, because it requires education as an individual citizens to be more knowledgeable and aware, more wise and discerning in things that go into recycling, for example, and to be more aware of things. If there's composting in the region, what does not go into composting, what does not go into recycling, and XYZ, to be improved in the recycling that we do across the collective North American civilization and beyond. And of course to dance for pleasure and for recreation and organized dancing events. And the Dragon Army, the International Citizen Integrated Social Security and Service Force, to be integrated with all existing public and private institutions and organizations to secure the three essential elements of civilization: food, housing, and transport. Right now doing a meditation on all the food across this collective North American civilization, the food that's being consumed, produced now. Pizzas are being made now, hamburgers, fries, cheeseburgers, bagels, all the food, right, that's being from the fridge, from the individual citizens, from the farming, from the processing and distribution of food, because we need food. Everybody gotta eat, even Wall Street. Food to build, upgrade, and maintain civilization. We need food to build, maintain, and upgrade civilization. We need food to maintain, build, and upgrade civilization. Just like civilization required some brain and some muscles to build, some civilization required some brain and some muscle to build. Civilization required brain and muscle To build civilization, it required brains and muscle, and it will require some brain and muscle for us to attain harmony between civilization and nature. So the Dragon Army to be for security and service, secure food, housing and transport. So the transport railways, all the railroads across North America, coast to coast, all the highways across North America, coast to coast. North America, there's highways now, truckers, XYZ amount of cars going east, west, north, south, across the bridges, across the highways, across this label province, Quebec, going east, west, north, south, across this collective North American civilizations, hundreds, maybe thousands, even maybe even tens of thousands, maybe maybe is there 20,000 trucks across North America, Canada, U.S., Mexico, perhaps. Thank you, love you, kiss you, truckers who transport the foods and all the goods, and those who load the trucks. We love you, big dragon hugs I'm offering because I like to offer more than blah blah blah. So anywhere you see me, anytime, I'm usually wearing red, marching in steel-toe boots in the streets for world peace and meditating and philosophizing and ranting and rapping. You can get your dragon hugs, free dragon hugs. So Dragon Army to be for security and service, securing food, housing, and transport. The housing, all the housing now. Construction workers are building condos, houses at this moment in time. And debt refusion theory has to come first. Taking all private and public debt, refusing it, whatever the number is in US dollars. Whatever the number is in US dollars, that number create the UE. UE stands for Universal Exchange Unit, preferably by biometrics, the hand, the voice, and the eye are unique biometric identifiers. And of course, put us 10% on all loans, and that initial public and private debt, all the debt converted into what the US dollar is in exchange rate with the Canadian dollar, the peso, the euro, and the new Israeli shekel. So all that number, that would be the initial money supply for this new currency, for the new global central bank, so that we have that amount of UEs, that amount of UEs, that amount of UEs. And we secure food, housing, and transport, food, housing, and transport, food, housing, and transport, and then work on the fourth dimension. The fourth dimension would be, of course, services with consent, hygiene, mutual understanding, and love. Consent, hygiene, mutual understanding, and love. With consent, hygiene, mutual understanding, and love, all services to be offered. Help with cooking, help with cleaning, help with the children. They're driving the parents crazy. They need a half an hour to run, an hour to do a sport, to do some push-ups, to do my workout, the general war integrated whole body training system, aka the Dragon Army workout, aka Dancing Goddess Army workout, or dance a little bit, or do some hockey, do some sports, do some football, and they need help. So Dragon units, east, west, north, south, to help in services, of course, of whatever nature, with consent, hygiene, mutual understanding, and LOV, principle that harm none, with the principle that harm none, with the principle that harm none, mutual understanding, love, understanding, love, the principle, harm none principle, the harm none principle, the harm none principle. All services to be offered with consent and hygiene, mutual understanding. Please get vaccinated, triple vax, triple vax, triple vax, yours truly. Wash your hands with soap and water, and of course encourage people to work out, train, exercise. See that public hygiene, washing of the hands with soap and water, hand sanitizer when we go in the bank, in a grocery store, in a mall, XYZ. So this Dancing Goddess in the Dragon Kingdom, my dream is a big public and private partnership. My Dancing Goddess and Dragon Kingdom is a big public-private partnership. So everything is mostly based, of course, on a public-private partnership, a PPP, public-private partnership, to create these two complementary institutions. The aforementioned International Integrated Dance League, aka the Dancing Goddess Army, with the International Citizen Integrated Social Security and Service Force, the Dragon Army, to be for service and security, and integrated with all existing public and private organizations of security, public and private and public security forces, public security forces, public security forces, and all institutions and organizations, both private and public, to be integrated thereof, to implement my philosophies and my theories. But first and foremost, the debt refusion theory has to be the debt refusion theory has to be implemented first, and then we can have the citizen integration theory, which is the CIT. And of course, the CIT, basically and simply, to summarize it, is to encourage people to go see, for example, with the Dragon Army and the Dancing Goddess Army, how recycling is done, how the plants, we know, is being picked up every week. Where does it go? How the recycling machinery works, a little bit, to have an overview, an idea, to go with citizens, to encourage citizens to go see, for example, here in Quebec, how the dams operate, to see one of those 63 dams which power my electricity and which give us clean, zero pollution energy, and also not only to Quebec, La Belle Province, but also furnish and give electricity to 5 or even six states now in the U.S. Right, so also they're utilizing clean hydroelectric power that is clean, zero pollution, zero emission energy. Wow, wow, wow. Right, to see how railroads function, highways, farming, dairy farming, all things of civilization and nature, from the farming to the theater to the arts to the high-tech satellites, and telecommunications. That is citizen integration theory. Democratic fusion theory is, of course, my pro-labor universal revolutionary centrism and my call for us to move towards a post-COVID economic, social, philosophical, artistic, poetic, financial, commercial, and world for pleasure and purpose, to move towards a post-COVID economic, financial, social, even philosophical, artistic, and commercial world of pleasure and purpose, for us to move towards a post-COVID economic, social, artistic, philosophical, and political, financial, social world for pleasure and purpose, because this body is a temple for pleasure and purpose. So implement my Trinity of theories, DCIT, citizen integration theory, debt refusion theory, DRT has to come first, and the democratic fusion theory, and create the two complementary covenant and cooperative institutions of the international citizen integrated social security and service force, aka the Dragon Army, for security and service, to work on securing food, housing, and transport, to work on securing food, housing, and transport, to work on securing food, housing, and transport across the collective North American civilization. How many hamburgers have been made? How many cheeseburgers, bagels now are being made? XYZ. Everybody got to eat. Even Wall Street are going for lunch. Mr. Fink, BlackRock in Wall Street, BlackRock. They're going for Mr. Fink. And please support the implementation of my Trinity of theories, the CIT, DRT, Debt Refusion Theory, and the Democratic Fusion Theory. Those Trinity of theories to be implemented via the fourth dimension, LOV, the Trinity of theories to be implemented via the fourth dimension, because if it's not about love, I don't want nothing to do with it. Keep it away from me if it's not from love. Willingly loving, hygiene, consent. It's not somebody making love today. What are we fighting for? They're getting ready to get those nukes fired up, nuke ICBM rockets coast to coast, and on the verge of World War III, as my geopolitical analysis and theory has been proven correct. I do firmly believe what, although have not perfect, don't play the self-righteous card with floating on clouds of self-righteous, although I'm a universal revolutionary centrist and a universal spiritual teaching student. I'm not a self-righteous individual who says that doesn't have lusts, doesn't have cravings, doesn't have this. I'm a universal spiritual teaching student. I don't know it all. I know XYZ. I know that the sun is my pope. And we're gonna get a third cup of coffee, and we're gonna do reading on the Dictionary of Politics, Dictionary of Politics, Dictionary of Politics, Dictionary of Politics. Third cup of coffee, final cup of coffee. Ready to rock and roll for the Oxford Concise Dictionary of Politics. We're gonna continue reading, but I'm gonna first, of course, before I read, continuing the reading, I'm auctioning. I will say that I'm auctioning. These are handwritten. Each and every time that your story has performed, done a workout training program, of the, since October 17. I've done, of course, more than 300 now. And this is the handwritten testament, the dragon becoming dragon testament, the dragon becoming dragon testament, the dragon becoming dragon testament. As I've performed 300 sessions officially, have completed successfully September 29th, and I've started October 17, 2019, and each and every one is written by hand. See, there's 20 pages written by hand. All the sessions which I've done, all the countings, the accounting of all the push-ups, the squats, the hawks, and of course because it's non-stop. We gotta march, jog, or run minimum 31 seconds. All the marching steps, which are by the million, have marched more during COVID than all the generals of NATO combined during COVID. Please, Mr. Stolberg, Mr. Stolberg, Mr. Stolberg, my brother, General, Secretary General, please say that you love us. Say that you love us, to the armies of NATO. If you ain't got, you don't say LOVE and you're a general. You ain't my general. You don't say love. You think Dragon Zero is gonna take any orders from any general that don't say love you? You must be out of your mind, man. You must be living on a different world than me. You must be boom, 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 boom. And putting on a uniform don't make you no warrior, baby. Putting on a uniform don't make you no warrior, B. Putting on a uniform don't make you no warrior, B. Well, I'm gonna call you general if you ain't got love for me. You must be out of your bloom. You must be tripping. Keep on tripping, baby. Thanks. Well, peace. Yeah, I'm tripping. If you don't say to your armies, make love tonight, you free, you willing, you gonna live the sword of freedom. Dragon Zero, aka Limdick. I can't live the sword of freedom by my solo. Who are you gonna lift to you? It's too heavy for me. I got tiny hands. I think I'm gonna. You know, you say generals to the armies of NATO, Western civilization, NATO. Make love tonight. Make love tonight. Make love tonight. No, Dragon to he must be disco, man. And I ain't talking about boogie. Trudeau, you ain't never wore steel toe boots, brother. Ooh. Bro, brother Trudy, you ain't never motherfucking wore steel toe boots, man. You want me to join who? Dragon Zero, man. If you ain't got love, show love or move along, stay 2 meters away, get vaccinated, get your hygiene in public. We continue with we are here gonna do this where we were finished this page. Now we opened here. I guess it's where we opened the page. Dictionary of Politics, concise. What time we got? 13 minutes. 13 minutes it is then. Maybe add some 3 seconds. For world peace, support the dream. The dancing goddess in the Dragon Kingdom dream. Support the dream. Pardon. The dancing goddess in the Dragon Kingdom. Non-edited. Real life. Direct from the heart. Passion. Raw. Real. Revolutionary. With consent to my allies and armies, the main messages make love tonight. With consent to my allies and armies, the messages make love tonight. Hug like you never hugged before today. Carpe diem, carpe diem, carpe diem. With consent and hygiene, make love tonight. Hug like you never hugged today. The body's a temple for pleasure and purpose. With consent and hygiene. And please, brother NATO Secretary General, try to avoid reading so much from a piece of paper. Give us some from the heart. And my suggestion is, love you, and NATO armies, love you, make love tonight. That's what I say to my armies. Make LOVE tonight. Make love tonight. Make love tonight. You're gonna live the sword of freedom. I admit I got lusts. I'm not perfect. I'm mediocre at some things, average or so. Far from being perfect. I'm androgynous, pansexual. I'm a man, I'm a woman. I'm a hell of a woman, especially after midnight. I'm a man and I'm a woman, especially after midnight. I'm a man and I'm a woman. Consent, hygiene, mutual understanding, and love. Channel, sublimate the aggression. I got aggression. I channel and sublimate. Channel and sublimate. Channel and sublimate. Two keywords of my philosophies, brothers and sisters. What are sexual impulses? Channel and sublimate. It's important to channel and sublimate. Workout, train, exercise, workout, train, exercise. In my advocacy, call for XYZ. I've been calling him and will call for the mass financing of people to work out, to train, and to exercise via public-private partnership with the Dragon Army, integrate with all existing institutions and organizations, both public and private, the NFL, National Football League, NHL, National Hockey League, NBA, National Basketball Association, MLB. Please give 10% to women's sports leagues and food security, women's sports leagues and food security, women's sports leagues and food security. Because let's be honest, women's sports leagues don't make even close economically, financially, commercially to what the patriarch sports leagues of the NBA, National Basketball Association, NHL, National Hockey League, NFL, National Football League, MLB make. Right, economically, I've lost economic, financial, commercial, because of course there's gossip. We feel mediocre, so we gossip, right? We chew our nails. It's hard to admit. I had toxicity within myself. Even maybe now, maybe I'm effing toxic. I work out, train, exercise. I gotta clean my own room as well. I gotta. We're excited to admit. It's hard to admit. Freedom is a double-edged sword. Responsibility, liberty. Freedom is a double-edged sword with responsibility and liberty. Freedom is a double-edged sword with responsibility and liberty. Coming out for me, I've been years in coming out. Rainbow dragon. Your dragon is a rainbow. Loves red color. Scarlet me up some green, and the black and the white inside the rainbow. My equation is 2 plus 2 does equal 4. Doesn't mean that we gotta write it only in green, or only in white, or only in red, only one color or two colors. I write 2 plus 2 equals 4, but I write it in black and white and all the colors of the rainbow, meaning that the 2 I write it in red, the plus I write it in one line black, the other white, and the other 2 I write it in green, and the equal I write it in black and white, and the 4 I write it in orange, pink, and purple. So I incorporate all the colors of the rainbow in that equation plus the black and the white. So while integrating all the colors of the rainbow plus the black and the white in that equation, meaning that yes, 2 plus 2 equals 4, but doesn't mean that we gotta write it or can write it in only one color. Only black, 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 or only white, 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 or only red, 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 or only green, green, green. Red is the official color of the Dragon Army, green the color official of the Dancing Goddess Army. The two complementary covenant and cooperative institutions, which I'm calling for their creation ASAP, to be integrated with all existing public and private institutions and organizations, as I'm calling on all willing living to support this, my dream, which is the Dancing Goddess and the Dragon Kingdom, be based on a public-private partnership, a public-private partnership. The creation of the UE, the Universal Exchange Unit, by the Debt Refusion Theory to be implemented, DRT, the hand, the voice, and the eye being unique biometric identifiers, calling on my astrological brother Bill Gates. And I am a scientist in a parallel life. I am a scientist in a parallel life. I'm a scientist in a parallel. Satellites, supercomputers, microchips, ICBM gadgets is my chosen path in this life. Philosophy, art, and poetry. And now we're going to rock and roll. Read where we opened from the Dictionary of Politics. Non, j'ai entendu parler de l'amour. Parlez-moi de l'amour un peu plus. Sinon, vous me perdez. Je veux rien savoir. Représentatif, parlez-moi d'amour, la belle province. Chantez-moi quelque chose pour le bleu ciel. Dites-moi si des fois c'est le bordel. Dis-moi comment tu t'appelles. Dis-moi l'amour. Pour les bisous pis des câlins, ça danse. And dictionary, concise dictionary of politics. Ready, hot, set, rock and roll. Representatives has the sole power of impeachment, and all impeachments are tried in the Senate with the Chief Justice of the U.S. Supreme Court presiding. Presiding. Conviction requires the agreement of 2/3 of the members present. Since 1787, 7 federal judges have been removed following impeachment proceedings. President Andrew Johnson was impeached in 1868, but survived the Senate by 1 vote. In 1974, the Judiciary Committee of the U.S. House of Representatives agreed 3 articles of impeachment against President Nixon. Richard Nixon. Nixon was charged with the abuse of his power as president, obstruction of justice, and contempt of Congress. Before these articles could be voted on by the full House, the president resigned after being informed that his impeachment and conviction were otherwise inevitable. Yeah, Dictionary of Politics. And we're going to go for it. Another word. I'm going to read both pages. So one from one end to the other. So this is where we opened it. And last time we opened it there. So we're going to continue reading there from that. And tomorrow we're going to read from this one. Imperial preference, imperial, I-M-P-E-R-I-A-L, preference, like a preference, something you choose. Rooted in geopolitical vision of enduring maritime empire, the proposal that Britain and its dependencies should form a single autarkic, A-U-T-A-R-K-I-C, autarkic economy, raising tariffs against the rest of the world but extending preferential rates to one another. I'm reading from something, B. I'm just reading from the dictionary. Attracted, consider my arm sister, give her half of every million. My arm sister, give her half of every million. Half of every million. Target attracted considerable support following the realization in the 1890s that the British economy was falling to keep pace with Germany. Joseph Chamberlain's divisive advocacy of the proposal through the Tariff Reform League, in the face of opposition from a majority of his conservative and unionist cabinet colleagues, helped bring about an overwhelming defeat of the government by the Liberals in 1906. The persistent British attachment to the free trade survived the First World War but was finally overcome in 1931 as steeply declining relative competitiveness of British manufacturing industry coupled with more autarkic trade policies in the United States and elsewhere coincided, C-O-I-N-C-I-D-E-D, coincided with an unprecedentedly sharp cyclical downturn in world demand and trade after 1929, and the system of imperial preference was partially applied to the self-governing dominions following the Ottawa Conference of 1932 and was underpinned by formalization of a largely coextensive sterling area. Interesting. Especially after the imposition of exchange control in 1939. The system gradually withered after 1945, as changing trade patterns diminished the importance of intra-Commonwealth commerce. So as a Canadian, Canada is part of the Commonwealth nation still. The Commonwealth. Commonwealth is written together. C-O-M-M-O-N-W-E-A-L-T-H. Commonwealth. Commerce, while margins of preference were eroded by inflation and British membership of the European Free Trade Association, the EFTA. The end effectively came with the twin blows of sterling devaluation, the sterling pound, that is. It has been falling recently, quite impressively, the sterling pound. Britain is undergoing hard economic, financial, commercial hardships at the moment. Devaluation in 1967, followed by British entry to the European Economic Community, which is now the EU, of course. In 1973, the EU, European Union, was called the European Economic Community, and not so many member countries were less member countries, states of Europe, because after the fall of communism, more states joined, right? And then in the early 21st century, even more states joined. Imperial presidency. See, President, imperialism. I-M-P-E-R-I-A-L-I-S-M. The imperialism, domination or control by one country or group of people over others in ways assumed to be at the expense of the latter. That could be argued, I guess. Pax Romana. 5 good emperors, Pax Romana. Some say yes, no, some say some more than others, right? It depends, certain points of time. But nonetheless, a lot of historians, which agree that Pax Romana was a relative period of peace, prosperity, and safety, and increase in culture and arts and crafts and culture, right? The period are known as the Pax, P-A-X stands for peace in Latin, Pax Romana, also known as the 5 good emperors during the Roman Empire. about 100 something AD, around 100 something AD, 100 something AD. So over the precise nature of the causes, beyond this sweeping definition, there is much disagree over the precise nature and the causes of imperialism, about what the clearest examples are, about its consequence, therefore over the period which exemplified it best. The so-called new imperialism pertains to the imposition of colonial rule by European countries, especially the scramble for Africa during the late 19th century. Many writers have construed imperialism in terms of what they believe were the motivating forces behind the territorial expansion. Among these, Hobson, Luxembourg, Bukharin. Bukharin is a surname, Bukharan. Bukharin. 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 And especially Lenin. No, sorry, Lenin. USSR. Lenin. Focused on economic factors such as the rational pursuit of new markets and sources of raw materials. The last named argued in Imperialism, the Highest Stage of Capitalism. I might have read that years ago. Might have read some of it. 1917 was published, called Imperialism, the Highest Stage of Capitalism. Imperialism, the highest stage of capitalism. That imperialism is an economic necessity of the industrialized capitalist economies, seeking to offset the declining tendency of the rate of profit by exporting capital in the pursuit of investment opportunities overseas. Interesting. For Lenin, imperialism is the monopoly stage of capitalism. For Lenin, imperialism is the monopoly stage of capitalism. For Lenin, imperialism is the monopoly stage of capitalism. Interesting. In a very different theory, Schumpeter, 1919, defined imperialism as the non-rational and objectless disposition on the part of a state to unlimited forcible expansion. Imperialism is rooted in the psychology of rulers and the effects of surviving pre-capitalist social structures, not the economic interest of nation or class. Yet other accounts view imperialism as an outgrowth of popular nationalism, a function of the need to underwrite the welfare state which helps pacify the working class, notably in Britain, a matter of personal adventurism, an application of social Darwinism to struggles between races, a civilizing mission, and a simply one dimension of international rivalry for power and prestige. The latter, in particular, means that imperialism is potentially a feature of leading socialist as well as capitalist states. All the above push versions share an endogenous, endogenous, or Eurocentric focus. They are challenged by views which emphasize pull factors, that is, the contribution made at the periphery by local crises such as a power vacuum perhaps introduced by foreign intervention, and the collaboration of indigenous elites, like an elite, a ruling class. Imperialism becomes a matter of accident as well as a design. In my lectures and classes during COVID, I've lectured orally about, of course, America, although I do not agree that the United States is an empire per se, but I did lecture on America, an unwilling empire, America, an unwilling meaning by, like it says here in this dictionary, by accident, America, an unwilling empire. I think I will publish them on YouTube and Facebook 2020, 2021, 2020, 2021, even maybe before 2019. Between 2019 and late 2021, I did like the series of 3 Coffee with Dragons just discussing America, USA, and unwilling empire, correlating it to the Pearl Harbor surprise attack, capitalist states, the latter in particular, and the informal matter of action. Imperialism, because the matter of action was designed. The concept of informal imperialism is said to render direct political control unnecessary. In the presence of other ways of exercising domination, for example, through technological superiority or the free trade imperialism of a leading economic power and cultural imperialism. Therefore, for modern neo-Marxists, capitalism in the West has been able to survive the process of decolonization, and imperialism outlives the age of annexation. Interesting. Economic, financial, and social structures of dependence still remain and are being continually reproduced by the multinational corporations in particular. The third world is still exploited and is subjected subjected to indirect political control. This imperialism without colonies was characterized by Ghana's first president Kwame Nkrumah in his book Neocolonialism, The Late Stage of Capitalism in 1965. The essence of neocolonialism is that the state which is subject to it is in theory independent and has all the outward trappings of international sovereignty. In reality, its economic system and thus its political policy is directed from outside. Interesting. Some analysts argue that the idea of imperialism loses its usefulness when it becomes equated with international capitalism. Interesting. In which asymmetries of economic power and integration are inevitable. Interesting. In which asymmetries of economic power and integration are inevitable. In which asymmetries of economic power and integration are inevitable. They reject monocausal explanations and stipulate that the relations of political domination and subordination must be specified closely before imperialism can be inferred from the existence of unequal economic relations. The existence of unequal economic relations. The existence of unequal economic relations. Wow, that is great. Impossibility theory. Theorem, like a theory. My theory is, of course, DRT, Debt Refusion Theory, Citizen Integration Theory, and Democratic Fusion Theory. The trinity of theories, which I'm calling their implementation: Debt Refusion Theory, Citizen Integration Theory, and Democratic Fusion Theory. Democratic Fusion Theory, Debt Refusion Theory, and Debt Refusion Theory would be CIT, Citizen Integration Theory. CIT, Citizen Integration Theory, DRT, Debt Refusion Theory, and Democratic Fusion Theory prove that something cannot be done or cannot be had. The most famous such result in politics due to K.J. Arrow, Arrow is in a surname, A-R-R-O-W, proves that if a choice or ordering system such as electoral procedure produces results that are transitive and consistent, you gotta see economic man, and where it satisfies universal domain, that is, works for all possible combinations of individual preference, satisfied the weak Pareto condition, and is independent of irrelevant alternatives, then it is dictatorial. Dictatorial here has a technical meaning, namely that the preference of one individual may determine the social choice, irrespective of the preferences of any other individuals in the society. A non-technical interpretation of Arrow's theorem is as follows. In a society, group choices or group rankings often have to be made between courses of action or candidates for a post. We would like a good procedure to satisfy some criteria of fairness as well as of logicality. Arrow's Stalin proof shows that a set of extremely weak such criteria is inconsistent. Wow. And with that, we're gonna wrap it up because it's noon. I'm gonna go eat. I'm gonna go work. Putting this on Facebook. Never delete.